Okay, sixth graders, lesson 4.3. We're going to be talking about fractions again, but fractions and mixed numbers, okay? Fractions and mixed numbers. A mixed number is a number that has a whole number and a fraction next to it. In other words, it's like having, let's say that you ordered 3 full pizzas, okay? And then before you even get a slice, half of one of them is gone. All right, it's not the end of the world. Yes. It's not the end of the world because there's still 2 whole pizzas and a half left. Okay? There's 2.5 pizzas left. Now, this is written as 2.5, is a mixed number. 2 wholes and 1 half. Okay? Now, we could also write it this way. If this one was cut into fourths, then it could be 2 and 2/4 left, right? But we would want to reduce that to 2.5, right? Now, if we cut all of them in half, let's get rid of this line again. Yeah, let's go back. Get rid of the 4th line. We still have halves, right? Now, since this one is in halves, if we cut all of them in half, how many halves do we have? How many halves do we have? How many halves? Zoe. They're on the board here. Look up here. Nate.
What, 2 and
No, no. Pay attention here. I'm calling on people who are not looking.
5.
Actually, Brett is looking. Ready, Brett? What is it? 5 halves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If we separate those, you just count them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 halves. 5 over 2 means 5 pieces that are halves of a whole. Okay? If you put them together, if you have them separated like this, and you put them together, you can make 2.5. And so I'm going to show you the math on how to do that. Now, I'm going to show you how to take 2.5 and figure out how many halves you can make. And I'm also going to show you, if you're given a top-heavy fraction, how you can figure out how many wholes you can make. Okay? So, let's go on. Let's say that we have a, let's see, let me give you the worksheet now. What we'll do is we'll take the denominator, which tells us how big the pieces are, and multiply it by the whole number, and then add the pieces from the numerator. So if we have 2.5, if you multiply 2 times 2 and add 1, what do you get? What's 2 times 2 plus 1? Roy?
3.
2 times 2 is what?
5. It's 5. It's 4.
Is 4 plus 1 is? 5. And that's how we got 5 halves earlier. 5 halves. Okay? So, here's the math. 2 and 1/2. Okay, listen. 2.5. If we want to figure out how many halves, that means we are finding out how many halves there are. And that's what that means. And you find it by multiplying the number, the whole number, 2, times the denominator, 2, And then add the number, that's the numerator. Why do you add the numerator?
Because that's like that's how many there actually is of the denominator.
Okay, that's how many pieces you started with, right?
Yeah.
If we go back, we started with 1/2, and then we can figure out by multiplying 2 times 2, you can figure out how many halves you can make out of the wholes. Okay? That's why you add the numerator. You're adding the piece that you originally had. That's already in a half. And so then that equals 5, right, Roy?
Yes.
So it's 5 halves. Okay? Yes.
How do we get the bottom number?
The bottom number is how big the pieces are, right? They're cut into halves. And so that stays the same. The denominator stays the same. The denominator tells you how big the pieces are. How many you would get out of one whole. You get 2 halves out of a whole, right?
Yes.
So if you look at your worksheet, whoops, wrong one. And let's start with the fraction number 1, 4 and 2/5. Okay, so what number are we going to keep? What are we going to try to find? How many what? Pieces that are in what denominator? Say fifths. Yeah, how many fifths? How many fifths can you make? We have 2/5, but we also have 4 wholes. So, 4 times 5, and add what?
2.
Right,
2.
2. How many pieces can you make? Tyler?
22.
22. So it's 22 fifths. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, good. Good. Now, what if we were given 22 fifths? How would you go back to 4 and 2/5? Max?
You would divide 22 by 4 and then subtract 2.
A 22 by 5,
Or yeah.
right? And then find the remainder, because the remainder is going to be the leftover pieces. Okay? So if you do 22 divided by 5, how many times does 5 go into 20? 22? It goes 4 times. What number is that going to be in our mixed number? Yeah, that's how many what? That's how many holes you have. That's how many whole pizzas you can make if you have 22 fifths. Then, what does the remainder tell you? What does the remainder tell you? Come on, people, look up here. What does that mean, Carson?
There's 2 left.
There's 2 left over. 2, and how big are they?
Half.
No, they are
Fifth.
fifths. So that's where we get 4 and 2/5 from. There's 4 wholes and 2/5. So you're working backwards, right? Instead of multiplying to start with, you're going to divide to start with.
So it would be 2 and 2/5.
Of 4,
22/5.
and remainder is 2, and where the divisor is fifths.
So 4 and 2/5.
4 and 2/5 equals 22 fifths. And 22 fifths equals 4 wholes and 2/5. Okay? So divide, and then write the remainder as the fraction that's left. Okay? Let's do number 7 on your worksheet. Number 7 is 31/6. Find 31/6 as a mixed number. Remember, you do 31 divided by 6 to figure out how many wholes. 6 goes into 31 5 times. So that's the whole number, 5. And now we need to find the remainder. 1. Remainder 1. So it's 5 and 1 piece left over. And how big is it? It's in sixths. 5 and 1/6. Remember, the denominator stays the same when you are when you're converting these. Okay?
So if you don't have a remainder, that makes a whole number.
Correct. That means you can make a whole number out of it.
So then your answer would be a whole number.
Just be the whole number. Correct.
So the one is like 7 and 42, so then it would be 6.
6 times. So if you had 42/7, you could make 6 wholes out of that. Without any remainder, without any leftover pieces. Alright? Any questions? Let's do the front and the back side. The whole thing, front and back.